Hey, what's up, guys? We are back for round two. We did the members only for the public. I know most of you guys have probably watched it. I also know some of y'all have lives, which means watching an hour-long video may not be in the cards for you. Some of you prefer that. Some of you probably prefer this as you kind of make a lot of your own picks. So we'll do our favorite picks of the day, and then we will kind of let you guys, I don't know, go crush it. Go win yourself some cash tonight.
I don't even remember what having a life is. I used to have a life, I feel like, but
Not as
barely.
long as I've,
What was that?
not as long as I've known you.
Yeah, that's true. This is very true.
You're very happy, and not that I'm not, but you're very happy sitting at home watching sports and dealing with the wife from time to time. That's about it.
You are so right.
All right, guys. So we brought this up earlier. Whenever one of our customers has a big old day like this, we like to shout them out on the video. Obviously, it's an opportunity to talk about our skills as well and say that they kind of mishmashed our information together, put together a core. Thank you, Juancho, Hernan Gomez, and Jokic for balling out in that game last night. And one of our customers, Kevin, won over 20 grand last night. Hadn't been playing NBA DFS, bought the NBA package that we're offering on Christmas Eve. It was actually his first time playing since then because he's been busy. Won 20K on his first night. Now, I'd love to tell you that's going to happen to every one of you that signs up. It's not. I mean, we're being honest on this one. That's not going to happen every single night. There'll be nights it won't be that good. There'll nights it won't be great at all. But we are out here grinding for you guys every single day. One of the things you get by joining the DFS 5-pack, and this does something we don't address enough, like we're not going to be exactly the same as everybody else who's just looking at Roto Grinders and Osmo.
Yeah, because we use projections to help us, but we don't live and die by projections. So again, it's a little bit of a different take, and it's worked for us. And I'm excited to keep doing it with you, man.
So we got a variety of different packages available through the website. We're here to help. Whatever you want to go with, day pass, lifetime pass, don't matter. We'll do our best to help you win some money tonight. And I've mentioned this the last couple of videos, but we're a little bit on the open market right now. We're going to be taking new advertisers for the show. We're open to the idea of multiple sponsors or one show sponsor like we routinely had before. If it's something you know or somebody that maybe within the industry who's looking to do that, just hit me up in my DMs. We can discuss. And the promotion of the day. So we're in a really good mood after helping Kevin win all that money last night. It's $100 off. 25% off the lifetime package today. That's a one-time $300 payment for baseball, basketball, football, every video, every write-up, every Facebook group, every form of media and conversation we can have, you are privy to for a one-time payment. If you have that kind of money and you want to hop on the 5-pack, we would love to have you. Make the payment. That'll get you your refund right away. Subscribe to the station if you're new to it, and let's run through this new format we've been doing and talk about our favorite plays of the year or the day. And I'm going to start with a guy. Again, I don't know why the presentation keeps doing that, but my cash game lock for the day is going to be LaMelo Ball of the Charlotte Hornets. I know it's somebody that you've been pointing out the last couple days. He's been playing really, really well. Obviously, he was an early draft pick for a reason. He's got GPP value in 3 of 4, even based on his new higher price, cash value in the other one. He is an emerging young player. Like all the balls, he does tend to kind of fill up the stat sheet a little bit. Good with the steals, good with the assists, can shoot a little bit better from day to day. Atlanta remains one of the top targets in DFS. They are all offense and no defense. That is a DFS player's dream. Capella has tried to help their interior a little bit, but they're still a very poor defensive team. But man, they can score with anybody, forcing you to score along with them all day long. This dude stuffs the stat sheet. I know you said he's getting a lot of industry love today, so he should be relatively popular tonight, we think. He's a guy I have a ton of interest in.
Yeah, I've heard him mentioned a bunch today. He just looks really good. Off that price point, again, you mentioned GPP value in 3 of 4. Atlanta is, picking on Atlanta is not sneaking up on anyone, so he looks to be in a really good spot. Honestly, the only things not to like about him are that he's young. We haven't seen him do it, on a consistent level, on a consistent basis ever yet. So we don't know if this is who he is, again, forever, if this is who he is right now. So there's definitely some inherent risk in there. However, you mentioned it, top 3 draft pick for a reason, number 2 overall. They obviously like what they have in him. He seems to definitely be eating into the other guards. And as far as Charlotte is concerned, I mean, he's got to be like their best young player, their building block. He plays in all type of game scripts, so
that's important tonight, right?
Yeah, for sure. I understand the love. He makes sense. Again, I wouldn't expect 35 plus every game, but he's too cheap for how he's been playing. That's just a fact.
And I always dig guys who can give you points in a variety of ways. I know you, as a GPP player, you try to find some chalkier players that maybe have a reason that they might not perform tonight. So I get why you always have a little more cause for pause for chalky players. And I get that. I feel I like the fact he's game script proof. I like the fact that he's going up against Atlanta tonight. And I think he's going to continue the trend. Although you did say one thing that kind of made me chuckle, because no player who's only played like 7 or 8 games in the NBA could we have seen do it for a long time. And that's true. That is, in an industry filled with no guaranteed things, that is one thing that is guaranteed.
This is true. No doubt.
All right, next up is going to be your GPP play of the day, the cover boy. Somebody I feel kind of like, it's interesting how we do this.
Yeah.
Because really, Ball is your guy. You like him every day, and I didn't normally like up until today. Depot's the guy I've been talking about nonstop, and now you're the one that likes him.
It's funny how that happens. I think it's just from us talking to each other from whatever it is. It's funny how it happens, and it's funny how it's happened right here. Oladipo's a guy I like a lot tonight. You've liked him again for the past few slates. I've gotten on the past couple. He's been really good, and it seems like he hasn't even broken a sweat. He's strolled into like cash/GPP value in each of his last few games. No big upside or anything, which is coming. He's in a good spot tonight against a Houston team, which I feel like everyone gets up for. With the whole Harden fiasco, this is still a team people play their best ball against. I expect a good game from Indiana tonight. Again, we haven't seen the big upside from Oladipo, but one of these days it's coming. He's going to shoot a bunch of threes. He's another guy that can fill up the stat sheet in every area, basically. I like the mid-range a lot tonight, and he's one of my favorite mid-range pieces.
Love the availability at the 3 as well. It's been much tougher, especially with a guy like Giannis no longer having small forward eligibility. Paul George lost his to fill the forward positions this year because, like, Depot's more of a point guard shooting guard than he is shooting guard small forward. But because he got Brogdon at the point guard, he is somehow, probably because of the loss of Warren, but now given small forward eligibility, which could be massive in a game like tonight. And even though he hasn't quote unquote popped yet, last game I think was his best game, but he did need overtime to do it. But he was a guy we were both looking at. He hasn't had that consistent game where he's married both the steals, which he's very good at getting, the assists, and the three-pointers. Well, one of those days that's going to come to fruition. That could be today. You didn't even mention the fact there's no TJ Warren.
Yeah.
That is one less guy to eat on this team. TJ Warren, we saw it in the bubble last year. That man could put the ball in the basket. So now it's Depot, Brogdon, and Sabonis doing the majority of the dirty work for this team. Miles Turner chucking up a couple of threes and getting block shots. But they got 3 offensive guys. In a side note for this game, on the flip side of the ball, Christian Wood has been downgraded to questionable. And if he's out tonight, look for a potential DeMarcus Cousins reintroduction to the NBA evening.
Yeah, I think that will be a popular play tonight, assuming Wood's out. One other thing I'll say about Oladipo, last couple games, he's been fine. Was good last game. He got there in OT. Malcolm Brogdon's been amazing. 50-plus DK points in each of the past 2 games. That will not continue. So look, one of these games, whether it's tonight, the next game, whenever, Depot will be that guy, and I like him quite a bit here.
Yeah, and we're not saying Brogdon's a bad play today, because I do think Brogdon, Sabonis, and Depot could all hit at least a decent value if this game's competitive. But one of these games that's going to flip-flop where Depot balls and Brogdon's just mediocre.
Yes, sir.
All right, next over, let's move to our mutual favorite play of the day, Russell Westbrook. I just think what you get here is the high floor and the high ceiling game is coming. We haven't seen him, quote-unquote, pop yet this year. Just like Victor Oladipo, but that game is going to come. We all know Russ is not a great shooter, right? He's got the motor of all motors, but there are days where the mid-range, obviously he's not a great three-point shooter, but he does get the occasional high upside shooting game where he's just really, really feeling it. He hasn't scored 30 real-life points in the game yet this year, but this guy won a scoring title years back where he did score over 30 points a game, so that game is coming. The assists and the rebounds have been there. Other than the first half of last game where the rebounds didn't fall in his direction, he's consistently putting up these numbers, averaging a triple-double again. I know something you pointed out in the first game of the year, there's a little bit of a Westbrook-Embiid kind of rivalry, so if you're looking for another reason for him to be even more aggressive, it's there. And I just love a guy who is literally balls to the wall in every single play of every single game.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. So when I was giving you my plays for the video and I was thinking about who we should talk about as our joint play, it was kind of weird because I didn't really know who we should talk about because it didn't seem like we were really in love with any one guy. And then you brought up Westbrook, and I was like, yeah, obviously. Westbrook's a guy that if I were making one lineup tonight, he'd be in it. Same points with Oladipo, except only magnified. Like, he's a better player than Oladipo. He's been better than Oladipo, and the bigger game is coming for Westbrook. Again, he's got this rivalry with Embiid. I love how you mentioned he hasn't really scored the ball well at all. Westbrook is a much better scorer than he's played so far this year. Whether or not he's a good shooter is a different question, but he's a better scorer than he's played so far. Washington's starting to play a little bit better. I think this game's competitive. You mentioned it. He's got one of the better floor ceiling combinations on the slate at 10-2. He's not a guy that maybe has like the high end upside anymore like Giannis, but his floor is right there with the best of them. And really his upside's right there with the best of them too.
And again, I like the last bullet point, which I think we haven't even addressed yet. The Washington Wizards are still figuring things out, but in a year of blowouts, and they've been massive, last night was actually nice because it did look like the Nuggets might run the Timberwolves out of the gym, and then the Timberwolves fought back. It looked like the Blazers might run the Bulls out of the gym, and then the Bulls fought back. It looked like the Spurs might run the Clippers out of the gym, and then they fought back. The only one was the first one where the Jazz had a game today, which is one of the reasons, not the reason they weren't foiled, but it's one of the reasons they pulled Mitchell and the boys a little bit early, which is another reason why I bring up back-to-backs. In a close call situation, they were more likely to come out of the game. But long story short, in a year of blowout, the Wizards have been within single digits in every single game this year. So you have to love a team that's playing competitive games. When they're not getting things going early, they're coming back. When they're getting up, they're letting other teams back into it. That's enjoyable because you need a full run of guys.
No doubt about it.
All right, next up. So we're going to talk about long shots of the day. This is a guy that didn't pop off the screen to me early on looking at this slate, but the more I've thought about it, the more he's turning it into one of my favorite overall plays. It is Draymond Green from the Golden State Warriors. One, you got a Clippers team that fought hard last night. They got way down to the Spurs early in that game, played a hell of a third quarter. They came up short, but this means they might be a little bit gassed today. I prefer Draymond Green if Kawhi and Paul George are both out because they're just worse defensively. But there's the flip side of that. I think the game is more likely to be competitive if everybody's running their full squads out there. We expect Kawhi to be out. Paul George, we're not really sure about. I don't think it completely sways my decision on him one way or the other.
I want to interrupt you because I feel like if the Clippers run their full squad out there, that's the most likely way of this game getting out of hand. So I think that in many ways it's really better if Kawhi is doubtful, so I don't think he's playing. And
neither do I.
We'll see about Paul George, but I think you could make more cases for it being better for Draymond with those guys out, because with those guys in, the Clippers are just so much a better team.
Sure. Games in Golden State, though, they're on the tail end of a back-to-back. I can see a variety of ways for this game to be working out, but what it comes down to for me, I like him no matter what. So I think he goes under the radar because it's been a while since Draymond Green's been a thing. But you don't need him to perform at the 8,500 he used to be priced out at. He's now 5,200, so that is a significantly drop in price. Also, what you didn't notice was a good quote-unquote DFS game for him, even on this price this year. However, he played 28 minutes 2 games ago, and he was, scored just over 20 DK points, still kind of getting his feet rolling. Also, Steph was insane in that game, so he didn't need to do much. Then last time out, he played better, but he lost all of his fourth quarter run as the Warriors just slayed up, bitch smacked the Kings, and we're up on them by a ton. Nobody played in the fourth quarter. Well, marry these two things together. You got Draymond playing maybe a little bit better, but also potentially playing 30 minutes in this game. My bold call of the day is we see Draymond with one of his classic 10-10-10 days, triple dubs. He ain't going to score 30 points for you almost ever, but a 10-10-10 game. He's also only made one shot this year. And while he's kind of an afterthought when it comes to shooting, there's going to be a game where he shoots and makes a couple of shots.
Yeah, agreed. I knew you were going to go here as your long shot. You've talked me onto him. I'm about it. I like this game a lot. I think it's going to be competitive regardless. So I like this game a lot. And obviously the top two pieces of Golden State, well, number one's Curry. Big drop off after him. Number two might be Draymond right now at this price point. So I'm about it.
Yeah, you got Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins there, but Wiggins scores. That's not Draymond's thing, so they don't really eat each other. Draymond does all the dirty work. And that's why I'm calling – when I say I call for Draymond to do 10-10-10, the biggest one that I'm worried about is the points. Like, I could easily see him with 10 boards, 10 assists, and 4 points.
Yeah, I think it's all about the minutes for me. If you see Draymond play close to 30 minutes, I think we'll get there, no problem.
He might be the only guy in the NBA, which if you predict a double-double, is more likely to do it with something that's not points.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we're going to move over to your long shot of the day. And quite frankly, this is, again, long shots mean something different. Both of our picks today are going to play. It's not a long shot in the sense like we need the game to be a blowout. More of a long shot if we just don't think they get a lot of love today.
Yeah, so different strokes for different folks. Obviously, the word long shot changes on a day-to-day basis. Here, I wanted to talk about an ownership long shot and Jimmy Butler, a guy who we really haven't been on much so far this year. Seems like it's taken him a little while to get, back into NBA game mode after playing such a long postseason last year. This is a really, really good spot for Butler to bust out, though. We don't like Butler in spots like he just played in against OKC, where he's not really needed. Miami is just the much better team.
He defers.
He defers. Other guys can shine. That's the time for his other guys to step in the limelight against one of their biggest, if not the biggest, one of the biggest competitors in the East for them. Boston, I think, you see Jimmy Butler do typical Jimmy Butler things. I expect this game to be close. Matter of fact, if I could only pick one game on the entire slate to be like a one-possession game, it might be this game. These two teams are very even in a lot of ways. I think you see a patented Butler game. He's going to step up here and be the best player on the Heat. He can do it in a lot of ways. He opened the season with 7 steals. Not that you're ever expecting that, but that's in his repertoire. He can make threes. He can do it all. And at this price point at no love, I like him a lot here.
So there's a couple guys in the league. Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler, and Kyrie Irving are the 3 that come to my mind right now, where you sometimes have to think about them a little bit differently. And what you mean by that is you need them in a game that might be competitive, where they have tough possessions down the stretch, where maybe they're fighting back for their team, where they stop deferring and start looking to just kind of take the game over. I think Butler might be the number one of those guys. And I'm going to take it even one step further. So you called for this game to be one of your favorites to be competitive tonight. This might be one of the only players, if not the only player in the NBA. I actually prefer if Marcus Smart plays tonight. And that seems weird because Marcus Smart is one of the most tenacious, hard-nosed, best defenders in the NBA. So why would it be better for Butler? Because the only way I see a blowout really happening here is if Boston is shorthanded and they can really just make life hell on Tatum and all those long threes that were going in the other day don't go in Miami rolls. If Marcus Smart's playing, I even think that increases the opportunity for this game in Miami to be very, very, very competitive. And that's when I like Jimmy Butler. I like Jimmy Butler when you wouldn't think you're going to like Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, which is here.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I like Butler against good defensive teams and good rivalries like the Bucks, like the Celtics, like the Raptors when they're running at full strength.
Like he's going to do whatever he needs to do to have his team be competitive in this game. Like that's just what it comes down to. He's going to score. He's just going to do everything in my opinion here. And then we might see him not play that well for the next couple games, depending on what their schedule is like. But I just like him a lot here.
When they play crappy teams like the Thunder, like they did the other day, he sets into cruise control. He lets Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and Bam kind of run the show. He saves his energy for when it's more needed. Now, if those games get competitive, you see Jimmy Butler take over. But when you're playing a rival like Boston, it's not the time for Butler to be passive and let Tyler Hero do the work. It's time for Jimmy Butler to do the work.
For sure.
So he's a rare breed that way, and that's why even if it doesn't work out tonight, and it might not, but if it doesn't work out tonight, take from that in competitive games to give him a different look, especially when he's cheap as hell like this.
He could still always not have a good game, like that's a part of life. That anyone can always do that. But right. I think it's worth taking a shot on it at this really cheap price point. We know who Butler is, and he just hasn't played great to start the season. But again, you mentioned it, you've talked about it a lot with the Lakers guys, and it's true with the Heat guys too. Like Butler played a really tenuous postseason.
Yeah, so when he's going to chill, he's going to chill. But when he plays against a team like Boston, it's time to, put your pedal on the metal. Like you saw what this guy did last year in the playoffs, right? He was nothing short of sensational. He has that in him still. It's just, when you play terrible teams like the Thunder, and I like where the Thunder might be building, but they're terrible this year. He just doesn't have to do a lot.
Amen.
All right, guys, that's what we got for today. We appreciate y'all watching us on multiple videos today. If you did this, click the thumbs up button if you don't mind. We'll try to bounce out one of these member-only videos like we did earlier today to the public about once a week. But we need you all to click the thumbs up button, right? It needs to be kind of a mutual exchange of, our time for your time. We appreciate you guys doing that for us. Membership is available through the website, and look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.
Thanks a lot, guys.